Hello, good morning, and welcome to Shatliff On Sunday and Sunday, September 25th, 2022. Hoping everybody is well after what has been a very, I'll say the word dramatic week in a whole variety of different ways, with the Queen's funeral on Monday, and then, of course, the announcing threats by Vladimir Putin on Wednesday against Ukraine. I've kind of kept the setup which I've had over the last couple of weeks whilst in the morning period for Her Majesty the Queen, because I feel that these that we have a bit of a background to use, and then we can develop things as we go further. So I'll either be stood up or sat down over the coming weeks. And of course, we'll have former councillor Steve Wright, who will join us at some stage as well over the next few weeks. I put the microphone here this week, so hopefully everybody can hear me. I want to begin by reading today's Gospel reading that has been read out in Catholic churches around the country. It's Year C because the Catholic calendar year goes over 3 years, Year A, Year B, and then Year C. And today's Gospel is from St. Luke, who, I don't know what it is, but I seem to have more of an affiliation with St. Luke. I seem to feel that there's something about St. Luke's Gospel, which I don't know whether or not I don't know exactly what it is, but it seems to be seems to be something. But I'm going to read the Gospel reading, and it is: Jesus said to the Pharisees, "There was a rich man who used to dress in purple and fine linen and feast magnificently every day. And at his gate there lay a poor man called Lazarus, covered with sores, who longed to fill himself and the scraps that fell from the rich man's table, I should say. Dogs even came and licked his sores. Now the poor man died and was carried away by the angels to the bosom of Abraham. The rich man also died and was buried. In his torment in Hades, he looked up and saw Abraham a long way off with Lazarus in his bosom. So he cried out, 'Father Abraham, pity me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am in agony in these flames.' 'My son,' Abraham replied, 'remember that during your life good things came your way, just as bad things came the way of Lazarus. Now he is being comforted here while you are in agony. And that is not all. Between us and you, a great gulf has been fixed to stop anyone, if he wanted to, crossing from one side to yours, and to stop any crossing from your side to ours.' The rich man replied, 'Father, I beg you then to send Lazarus to my father's house, since I have 5 brothers, to give them warning, so that they do not come to this place of torment too.' 'They have Moses and the prophets,' said Abraham. 'Let them listen to them.' 'Ah, no, Father Abraham,' said the rich man, 'but if someone comes to them from the dead, they will repent.' Then Abraham said to him, 'If they will not listen either to Moses or to the prophets, they will not be convinced, even if someone should rise from the dead.' Now, during these times of cost of living and with budgets which have been set this week and various and different announcements that were made on the day that our late Queen passed about the energy and different ways to try and help, there has been a mixture of different responses from people at the centre ground, or people from the far left, people from the far right, and people just saying, "Oh no, it's not going to work," and is this going to be working just so that the Conservatives' Liz Truss will get voted in at the next general election in 2024, or whenever it's likely to be. Let me give you my own personal opinion. It kind of goes with what's been said there in St. Luke's Gospel reading. Somebody can be a very, very poor person struggling to make things ends meet and be in poverty. But then, by a turn of events, they get themselves a good job and they suddenly build themselves up. They can get promoted, or there can be any other kinds of change of circumstances where somebody could then be in a wealthy situation. But they still, at the same time, think about people who are struggling to make ends meet. They still think about people that could be in Middle England. They don't necessarily think to themselves that they are right at the very top, don't care about anybody else, because they use their money or use their influence to try and do good things for people. So when people say that this latest budget affects the rich, it helps the rich out, well, yes, it does, but it also helps people across every single level as well at the same time. So it's okay to say, yes, tax the rich, but let's not forget that those people that are rich, some of them, not all of them, have started right at the very, very bottom. And they would like to be able to enjoy having some splendour and at the same time helping others. So that's my own personal opinion. That is why I like to be at the centre ground. I don't like to go to the right and I don't like to go to the left, because I'm actually seeing myself on this recording. I don't want to get right and left or left and right mixed up. So that's why I'm staying directly right in the centre ground, because that is my opinion. So that is why I would never ever support a Jeremy Corbyn style Labour government or anything that lets you right to the far left in that scenario, just as I would never support Nigel Farage in his far right Brexit extremes and various different things like that, or anything that would go to the far right. I like to stay on the centre ground. So if somebody says, who will I vote for at the next general election, I'm not going to say, I'll keep that to myself, but just think about that. I think about everybody, not the few on the left, not the few on the right. I think about everybody from the centre ground perspective. And that, in my own personal view, is how politics should be. Tony Blair got that right with his thoughts right to the centre ground. Keir Starmer is at the centre ground, but it's whether or not the rest of the Labour Party would then go ahead in that scenario. And I also feel over some years as well that there have been Conservatives that have been at the centre ground as well, just as the Liberal Democrats like to be at the centre ground. So with that, I'm saying all three of the main political parties. Could be something I've sung up, but again, I'm not going to reveal who I vote for. So people that say to me, "Ooh, we want to have a revolution. Everything should all be back in public ownership and various different things like that." I personally feel that is not the right way to go about things. I think that yes, if the public do own certain things, then it might make things better. But there's still got to be a way that things are going to be paid for in that kind of sense. And also, does that mean that things are going to be more harder and various different things for that? I also feel as well that there are certain things that, if they are run properly in the private sector, then that could do, and it can burden the money that we have to pay. One of the best things that has been done over the last 25 years was allowing the Bank of England to make the decisions in regards to interest rates. That way it's independently. It doesn't have to be done by the Chancellor, whichever party. That was something that Gordon Brown and Tony Blair did in the last Labour government. I personally feel that other things should also be put in that kind of a sense where decisions are made, rather than things always being a big political hot potato. We're going to discuss more on that later on in this autumn. So that's just my view in there. I fully appreciate that times are very, very hard for people as it stands at the moment. I'll be perfectly honest, okay, I live at home with my family, but if my finances could be better, I would be a lot happier. But what we can also do as well is try and think of other ways to try and make ends meet in a proactive way, and rather than necessarily always relying on others, we can think of doing things to try and cut the cost of energy. That's what I do there in terms of candles, is something I've been doing for quite some time, rather than having to put on the lights. Lights in the air there, you can also see you can also see a lamp. Okay, they do go on sometimes, but there is enough light there to keep me going, and there is also enough heat as well there to keep me going as well. Plus, of course, I can also go uh, into that wardrobe and get myself a jumper to put on all that wardrobe there. So there's a whole variety of different things. I'm not trying to say that people should put up with things either. Just go along. What I'm saying is there are ways in which people can try and help themselves during this very, 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 very difficult times that indeed that we do have. Now, of course, there are people who need that extra help. Of course, there has been a tax cut which will come from next year. The national insurance rise is going to end as of November as well, so that can help people in a better way. And that's not just helping the rich, that will help people that are on the living and minimum wage as well. I do feel that the living wage should be raised, and I would say that anyone who is working full time, that's working 35 hours per week or more, should be on a minimum of £20,000 per year. And I think the threshold should be £15,000 before anyone starts paying tax or national insurance. Give people a start. It's up to them then what they do, but they have had the opportunity. So that is what I would do if I was in a senior position. Apparently, there could be more tax cuts before the end of the year, or even in the new year, from something I read just before going live. So the help and opportunities should be there for people. Of course, sometimes people don't always do things in the right way. I myself have messed up on financial stuff over the years, but if there is a starting block for people, at least that way they can actually start to do that. So that's what I would do. And I also think as well that anybody, any company that anybody has, should have a minimum of 25 days holiday per year, which is all paid for, of course. I also feel as well that then, of course, any bank holidays and religious holidays coming on top of that, which is completely understandable. That's whatever any religion, they should be giving that time off in the same way that people are for Christian or any other things. So that's something. Plus, as well, people should go to the traditional 8-hour day where they either get 15 minutes or and then a 30-minute lunch and 15 in the afternoon. These are things that make things easier for people as well. And then overtime, which is a good rate for everybody as well. So, and also in this very time of hardness as well for people, then sick pay should be given at the normal rate. If someone who's generally ill, then that should be given. So I am saying that about fairness to everybody, and that's across the entire spectrum there. That is what I myself would personally do. Right, okay, so that's enough about me kind of ranting and raving there, saying about various different stuff to do with the cost of living. Over the coming weeks, I've shared that tip there to try and help people. I hope I'm not going to create a candle shortage, but these are just things as well that people can do. I also do recycling of candles. I'm not going to do this live, but that's there in a pan ready to melt to then go into other pots there for other candles. So there's certain things as well, but then of course that would mean the gas is being used, but it could possibly be more economical than the wax melt which I did, which used electricity. So these are just different things to try and help people. Right, okay. That's talking about the cost of living. We are aware as well that this is the conference season, and at the moment the Labour Party conference has started in Liverpool, and next week the Conservative Party conference will begin in Birmingham. And these conferences are not just to preach to the converted, the ones who are already there, there's already members, and don't forget people not necessarily agree with what's being said by their own party leader or what's being said by their own leadership in different ways. We know that from what's happened with Boris Johnson over the last year or so, and we know that there's been fractions within the Labour Party at various different stages, and we don't know massive amounts about what's happening with the Liberal Democrats as such, really. since they had their new leader 2 years ago as well. We know certain things, but not massive amounts. And of course, we know exactly what Nicola Sturgeon wants in Scotland, and so on and so on. Right, okay, so the political party conference season is now in earnest. Of course, it started later as a mark of respect for Her Majesty the Queen. So we'll get to hear what's being said over the coming days and the coming week over from both of the two main, from the opposition and from the government as well. It's going to be interesting, really, because of course we know what Liz Truss was saying before being elected as their leader and then Prime Minister. So now, kind of already heard some things, but now we're going to hear what her cabinet are going to be saying. So that will be an interesting scenario next week. And of course, this week the shadow cabinet as well will all be speaking at the Labour Party conference. But whilst all this is all going on here in the United Kingdom, and of course as we rightly should do, we have the time of mourning for Her Majesty the Queen, then the war in Ukraine still rages. I spoke at the rally yesterday and I said about how, because we were talking about the highlights from the week, the moments from the week, and I said about it's absolutely fantastic about the fact that Ukraine are gaining territory back, which is wonderful. The Russians are being pushed out, but Vladimir Putin then making the announcement on Wednesday, threatening the West with nuclear weapons, and then the fact that the Russian foreign minister was at the United Nations, actually speaking at the United Nations. This is a man that is walking free in New York, that's very much involved in he's doing propaganda, he's doing all kinds of various different things, while people are dying, being murdered in Ukraine, and this man, who is one of the perpetrators, walks around New York City, walks around the United Nations. And I said, I did not think that is right. And I'll still say, I do not think that is right. I also said as well yesterday that the world should have acted properly in 2014 and the world should have acted properly on February 24th of this year, without any shadow of a doubt. Vladimir Putin cannot think that he is going to get away with what he has orchestrated in Ukraine. People are being murdered on a daily basis. The mass graves that was found just over a week ago, and they're not the only ones. Torture, people being electrocuted in prisons. It's absolutely disgusting that this is going on at all, but happening in 2022. The world should be acting and shouldn't be afraid of a lunatic threatening nuclear weapons when that man should be brought before the Hague, he should be tried, and he should be given a taste of the medicine that he has given to the decent, genuine people of Ukraine. We are now in the autumn of 2022. The autumn equinox has now officially happened. So we are now in the time of the year when normally I would think myself it's time for cozy nights and a bit of relaxation, that kind of thing, get a nice book out and watch some television dramas. And I will still be doing that despite all the other stuff which is indeed going on around us at the moment. We'll be getting a new regular agenda for Ben Shatliff on Sunday, rather than just ranting and saying various different stuff. I've already told you about my interest in James Bond. I think I may have mentioned about my interest in the Star Wars film. I started to watch the new Star Wars spin-off series, which follows one of the characters from Rogue One. I started to watch some of that last night. So let's watch 1 or 2 episodes of that, and we can discuss that as well over coming weeks. And I'll give you like a little idea of some of the books that I'm reading as well, once I've actually got started reading a book again. We've had 3 weeks of various different things which have been going on, and understandably now people are back to work, back to school and everything else. In fact, very soon it'll be time for half term again. So let's just reflect on what's been happening recently, but also at the same time look at moving forward as well, because we do have a new king in our country, King Charles III, and we know we have a new Prime Minister as Times are sad with a whole variety of different things, but I will continue to put my messages of like peace and goodwill and try and put messages of hope on social media, and I will try and make Ben Shatliff on Sunday a little bit more cheerier despite some of the things which are going on around us. Enjoy the rest of Sunday. I will be back again next Sunday. Take care, and most importantly, stay safe, but enjoy life.